Whoa! What's up, guys? Good to see you. Good to see you. I can't see you, actually. You can see me on YouTube and you can hear me on the audio podcast, but I can't see you. So let's keep that straight. Good for you to see me. Good for you to hear me. Um, I want to talk about a topic that I've spoken about for the last 2 years. And I'm going to take a different tone on this topic. And this topic comes down to carbohydrate intake, right? We talk about it all the time. I'm one of the few people I feel that have been forthright and honest when it comes to the ultra low carb diet practices that are being promoted through the health and fitness world. Now, the health and fitness world is very segmented into those who are actually credible and those who just have abs, and then those who have a platform and they may or might not have credibility and they may or might not have abs, but they have an audience nonetheless, and their opinion is strong. I want to cut through all of that and I want to talk about the facts. So, 2 or so years ago, when keto became popular, I said the ketogenic diet isn't sustainable and it doesn't make sense. People will get their benefit from controlling their carbohydrate intake. You do not have to be in ketosis. And likely, most who attempt to be in ketosis will not attain ketosis. The benefit most people see will be from mindfully consuming carbohydrates and mindfully choosing quality carbohydrate sources. In that, they will stop eating processed foods, processed carbs, processed sugar, and they'll start eating more reasonable, healthy carbohydrate choices from earth-grown nutrients, as we say. I've been, and I continue to be defamed and slandered and trolled and hated on and ridiculed and criticized for a very fact-based stance. I'm not hating on keto. I'm just saying that the ketogenic diet primarily doesn't work for most people. And even more, it's not needed or necessary or even suggested for most people. Controlling carbohydrates is something I've advocated since day one. Eliminating processed sugars and processed foods is something I've advocated since day one. It's something that well before the ketogenic diet became a fad, I was speaking about. And now that the ketogenic diet is continuing to lose popularity, as many people are jumping into the carnivore or intermittent fasting, further exclusionary dietary practices, the ketogenic diet is not nearly as popular as it was 1 year ago or 2 years ago. I've always said that there is a 36-month life cycle to most fad diets that typically peak approximately at month 18 or so. We are past that point. I did a video at the beginning of last year saying keto is dead. And I highlighted the drop-off in the use of the term ketogenic diet and the following or the followers who were endorsing the ketogenic diet as they were looking for something even more strict and more exclusionary because they didn't achieve the gains or results that they wanted to on the ketogenic diet. They hit a plateau in a short period of time. A couple weeks to a couple months, they hit a plateau and they didn't know what to do. They had already pulled all the carbohydrates out of their diet. They lost 5, 10, 20, 40 pounds even in a short period of time. But they didn't have the strength they wanted. They didn't have the endurance they wanted. They didn't have the lean muscle mass that they wanted. They didn't have that type of healthy, ripped physique that they wanted. They didn't know what to do. So they felt that going into a further exclusionary dietary platform was the answer, when it is not. And it was not. And it will never be. So this conversation that I'm having with you right now really talks about you identifying those experts in the field of health and fitness that led you down the path to ketogenic diet, the ketogenic diet. I said, be careful, because what they will do, they will tell you to go no carb, to go low carb, to go ultra low carb, to get zero carb, to go no more than 20 grams of carbs per day. But be careful, because as that doesn't work and as that won't work, they'll say, you can go to 40 grams of carbs per day. You can go to 50 grams of carbs per day. You can go to 100 grams of carbs per day. Some people eat vastly more than that per day, and they're still following a ketogenic diet, but they're not. So now what do we see? We see members of the health and fitness community that are considered to be experts for whatever reason, one of the three reasons I said earlier, because they truly have a knowledge base. They are just simply physically fit, which could be genetic or drug use, or they have a platform. Usually it's one or two of those ingredients that create an expert. With that being said, I have started to see more and more of these ultra low carb dieting aficionados now talking about how they're able to eat more carbs on their ketogenic diet. But it's not a ketogenic diet. But they continue to claim ketosis and the use of a ketogenic diet while eating 50, 100 or more grams of carbohydrates per day. Essentially, they are now claiming very similar dietary practices to what I've said since day one, and I have not moved from, I have not changed from. The average human needs to be eating 100 or more grams of carbohydrates per day from healthy, clean, quality sources, from blueberries and strawberries and quinoa and black rice and sweet potato and beans and legumes. There's all sorts of varieties outside of just the traditional green vegetables, red peppers, and other things that have trace elements of carbohydrates within them. We need a diverse diet. We should not exclude any specific nutrient category, because ultimately it's not just the macronutrients of carbohydrates, it's also the micronutrients that are contained within those robust food sources. So we've spent seeing more and more and more, and you'll continue to see more and more and more of your low carb, ultra low carb, ketogenic experts that are now telling you that they're eating more carbohydrates than they were telling you last year. But when they were telling you last year, they were telling you that you must keep your carbohydrate intake at 5% of total calories per day, right? The ketogenic norm. Keeping your carbohydrates less than 20 total grams per day, the ketogenic norm. Slowly but surely, that number has bumped up and continued to bump up and continued to increase because they too have found, as I had said, the ketogenic diet simply isn't sustainable. And that's okay, because it shouldn't be sustainable, because it's not what's best for you. What is best for you is eating a diet that is diverse, a diet that fulfills all of your micro and phytonutrient needs while employing a basic macronutrient profile that continues to sustain and increase lean muscle mass while reducing non-functional subcutaneous and visceral body fat. It's actually really simple. It's really simple. Everything I say is really simple. And that's my biggest criticism, or that's the biggest criticism against me. Everything Dolce says is so simple. He doesn't say anything that's new or cutting edge. What he says is so simple. Well, that's the truth. And you could also say that about Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, when he discusses his own investment strategies. It's very simple. It's very simple. And it's tried and true, and it's proven, and it's based upon universal principles. That's what I've been discussing for all these years. So while you have jumped on and off the low carb, the ultra low carb, the ketogenic diet, I have been telling you all along, you need to get your carbohydrates up over 50, over 100. The sweet spot for most people is between 125 and 250 grams per day for most average healthy adults. Like I said, most average healthy adults. I'm not talking about epileptics. I'm not talking about those with type 1 diabetes. I'm not talking about those other individuals that might fall into a niche category. You likely need something more specific to you and your unique circumstance. And that is a good thing, that you understand that, and then you can dig deeper. That may or may not be a ketogenic diet. A ketogenic diet, just like a gluten-free diet, is not a one-size-fits-all. And really, it is a one-size-fits-nearly nobody, most of those programs. Again, short-term results that are not sustainable, that lead to long-term negative outcomes. We try and reduce that by simply following a well-balanced, ordered eating program of earth-grown nutrients, which is real food. We want you to eat real food in wide variety, as local, as organic, as fresh as possible. That's the goal here. Maximizing your micro and phytonutrient density, thereby lowering the total caloric need, which means the more micro and phytonutrition you consume per calorie, the less total calories your body needs per day in order to be fully satisfied from a health perspective. When you follow an exclusionary dietary program, like a ketogenic diet, an ultra low carb diet, even a carnivore diet, and we can have a deeper conversation on that, it is not nearly as good or nearly as healthy in the long term as a well-balanced, moderated nutrition program. And I could point to the blue zone territories around the world that have the highest incidence of longevity and life expectancy than any other communities on the planet. They all eat well-balanced, micronutrient dense, wide varieties of earth-grown nutrients, local and organic. That is the way to go. So let's avoid the exclusionary dietary practices. Let's simply get more balanced. Let's be mindful. Let's be intentional. Let's avoid the synthetic chemicals, the processed foods. Let's start eating real food in wide variety, in its natural and organic state. That is the way to do it. But please be aware of the individuals that tell you otherwise. I'm rather suspicious about them. Usually there's something to sell, and that something that they're selling is not the best thing for you. So be aware, do your due diligence, do your research, be mindful, be intentional. You are the one who makes the decisions for yourself. Everything I say, please research. Please look up everything I say. Everything I say, do not take as fact. Take everything I say and do your research, thereby educating yourself and empowering yourself to make your own decisions based upon your information and your practical life experience. I hope this video has been helpful and informative for you. Until next time,